We are glad you could join us today on the segment of the morning show on Equa Television Africa. This is the program from the Dailies, and we are also live on Facebook and on YouTube. My name is Joyce Akwari, and joining me live in the studio is Tosin Owolabi. Tosin, you're welcome. Good morning. Yes, so we have stories that are trending, both the local and trending stories that some did not even make the papers, and we shall be taking them first before we move into the stories that are on our national dailies today. And starting off, we have more like a breaking news which says armed men on rampage around Plapoli, Birkin Ladi, and it is said that unconfirmed sources, because we are awaiting more details. Armed gunmen stormed the Plateau State Polytechnic Birkin Ladi campus in the late hours of this evening. That was last night. In the process, 2 students of the institution writing their second semester examination were kidnapped with the name Benchit and Longfair. The gunmen, numbering 3 in number, stormed a student hostel Plateau Embassy towards the end of the school fence at Haipan and whisked the 2 girls away after shooting sporadically into thin air. Details coming soon, even as we await official statement from the Operation Safe Haven that's talking about the OPSH. So when we have more details, we'll report it even as they break on this segment or on our news segment, so you can keep a date with us on all our programs. Keep tuned so that you can hear more details of this story. And moving on, we have the other story of Moses Oko. You know, beginning of this year, we reported that there was a case in Plateau State where a student, a 300 level student or University of Jos, was killed. That's talking about Jennifer Anthony. And yesterday it was reported that the killer has been paraded, and his name is Moses Oko. And I will just read it briefly. Suspected killer of Jennifer Anthony, a 300 level student of University of Jos, has been paraded by the police at the police headquarters in Jos. He had pretended to be mentally unstable and later admitted to a hospital in Benue with the aid of his parents. The suspect, 20 years old Moses Oko, reportedly plugged off her eyes for ritual purposes. And this is Moses Oko. He is the suspected killer of Jennifer Anthony. And yesterday, the State's Commissioner of Police, that's talking about Bartholomew Onyeka, addressed the public and even pressmen on how Moses Oko was trailed to Benue State and arrested also in Benue State and brought back. Then his father also, that's talking about the father of Moses Oko, he addressed the general public too, and he claimed that the boy is mentally unstable because there are a lot of rumors that when he did the deed, he ran and his parents put him in a psychiatric hospital. Even when the doctors were insisting that nothing is wrong with him, they claimed that he is mentally ill and he should be admitted in a hospital and be treated as a psychiatric patient. And in the report where the father was addressing the public, he also claimed that his son is mentally unstable. And I don't know.
Joyce, believe you me, with all honesty, aside the claims about his health issues, definitely someone who will kill his fellow human being is mentally unstable. And looking at this issue, you can see the transformation. Someone who is known with dreadlocks, later on scraped off the dreadlocks, went on with
it's more like a disguise.
Yes, just to disguise himself so that he won't be caught. I know immediately after Jennifer's death, he was on a rampage. They couldn't find him. He was at large. They couldn't find him, and now thank God that the security operatives are deployed in different places. You can see something that happened, the incident that happened in Jos, he was found in Benue State, and we just hope that something will be done about it. It shouldn't be like the issue of Sylvester or Romini, where the culprits were apprehended and later on released. We just hope that something will be done about it, because when you talk about issues of kidnapping and ritual activities, it's happening on the plateau, and still relating it with issues in Plapoli. I know I have a family only friend who schooled in Plapoli. They said the school is used as a cattle rearing environment, where you see herders just walk into the school environment with their cattle. You can imagine a school environment, such thing will happen. That means the life of those students are even at risk, and you can see issues where students are abducted even in the school environment. When did they just resumed school after the Christmas break, and we're having issues like this. This is when we need our security operatives to be on deck, because when you talk about a school environment where you have students coming from different places, different states, even foreign students come here to study, then you just imagine that the environment will just be left out. People just walk into those places without being checked by the securities at the gate, and even at different places. Something needs to be done about our security, because we keep talking about the federal level, the security at the federal level. If it begins with from the state and even our little environment, we should be security conscious, because when we are security conscious, even these people know that this places, the security are very tight in such axis, so they find it very difficult to come to such places.
And
so we just hope,
I think the access should be limited,
definitely,
you know, to mostly maybe the students, the people that have business with the school.
Yes, and even if you see strange faces, there should be a means of identification. Why are you coming to such environment? So we just hope that something will be done about it. And even those students who are abducted, we just hope that very soon we'll hear about their release.
And talking about the Moses Oko situation, I believe that the police are on the case. They are really trying to unravel the mystery behind everything that happened. The claims of being unstable, mentally unstable, so many stories that are coming out from it. And I'm so happy that he has been apprehended, but we are waiting for the official report. Yes, the state commissioner has already addressed the public, but we are waiting for Moses Oko to speak, because he's claiming not to be stable, and he has not spoken ever since he was caught. It was his father that addressed the public to say his son is mentally unstable. Then his sister, this is from the blogs now, and mostly of the screenshot of her messaging a lot of people that have posted maybe Moses Oko on their status to say this is the killer, or she has been out there insulting people, claiming she's going to spread rumors of them being HIV positive if they don't stop, you know, claiming or putting up her brother as a killer. So I think she's interfering with investigation, and she's causing a lot of harm that good. She should just lay low, allow justice to take its course. I believe that at the end of the day, the truth will be out and justice should be served, because this was an innocent girl that has been killed in a cold blood, you know, and for ritual purposes her organs were harvested and she has been buried though. But I don't know, I feel I hope that everything will be unraveled at the end of the day, and we'll have more stories following that. So Tosin, talk to us about the next story.
Yes, this is the death of the former Oyo State Governor Alao Akala. We have the former governor of Oyo State, Chief Christopher Alao Akala, has been confirmed dead. The politician, who is also a former police officer, died on Wednesday in his hometown of Ogbomosho at the age of 71, having been born on 3rd June 1950. We have Akala, who was the governor of Oyo State between 2007 and 2011 under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Before he became governor, Alao Akala served as the deputy governor of Oyo State from May 2003 to January 2006, but emerged governor in January 2006 following the impeachment of Governor Rashidi Ladoja. He remained in office until December 2006 when the Supreme Court reinstated Ladoja, and we just hope that his soul will rest in peace, and also our heartfelt condolence to his family. You know, yesterday we heard of Shonekon, and today we are hearing of Alao Akala. We just hope that their soul rests in peace, and also whoever is find him or herself in position, he should live a life worthy of legacy, because we know that someday this life is not ours. We will go. What will people say about you? We just hope that good news always come up even when someone is no longer living on earth. our condolence goes to the family of Alao Akala and also that of Shonika.
Well, we started on a sad news, but we'll be moving to a good news for Nigerians. And the good news is this: President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the lifting of the suspension of Twitter operation in Nigeria, and this was effective from last night. That's 12 a.m. 13th January 2022. So Twitter ban has been lifted in Nigeria, and we have a comment from Garba Shehu as expected, and I would like to read that. He says, "Welcome back. Let me join fellow countrymen and women in welcoming the resolution of the impasse between the federal government of Nigeria and Twitter Inc., leading to the laying of a foundation that's in quote for a mutually beneficial future with endless possibilities." And he took to his official Twitter handle, Garba Shehu at Gar Shehu, and he tweeted that last night. So Twitter is back in Nigeria, and I feel his comment though is a bit of a sarcasm, because I know that we've been back and forth, you know, and he has been in the news defending the act, defending why Twitter was banned in Nigeria, and even Lai Mohammed coming to say Twitter was not banned in Nigeria, it was suspended. Like so many of these terms that were just used carelessly. If it is, what is the difference now? Because the activities of Twitter was stopped in Nigeria, and there were a lot of comments from the users of Twitter, how businesses were stopped, how even revenues, there were a record of losses, you know, in the revenue of how businesses, how the economy was affected because of the ban.
Yeah.
And now after like 8 months, Twitter is back, and as Lai Mohammed would say, this activity is suspect. So I don't know, but it's a good thing. Nigerians are happy, and some are, you know, definitely Nigerians, they have one or two things to say, because this has taken a long while for it to be what is it called, to be back, like the ban to be lifted off. And like I said, 7 to 8 months is a long time.
Yes, I know. When the Twitter was banned on the 5th of June 2021, I was still part of the show, and we spoke about the same issue, because not just affecting individuals and affecting their businesses, it affected the growth of the country. When you talk about the GDP, it really fell because of the ban on Twitter, and we are grateful that it's been lifted, and we just hope that it won't be limited, because this being lifted now, we just hope it won't be limited. People will be able to go back with their businesses, display their goods, even using Twitter, and also it will help us also, because as a country, you know, when you talk about our GDP, we are really backward. We just hope that it will help us now as a country, and we'll be able to go back on track and also get back on our feet as a country and individuals.
So if you're a user, you are free to use your Twitter, and I know a lot of users have been using the VPN, but now you are free to use your Twitter. The ban has been lifted, and you should expect a lot of these things to be happening, things that were banned before coming back, things that were not working before coming back, because the elections are just by the corner. We always see things like this. 2023 is just by the corner, and that's why on this show and every other show we encourage Nigerians to go out, get your PVC. It won't take anything from you. Get registered, get your PVC, get ready for the elections, for the general election that is coming in 2023. Please.
We shouldn't be carried away, especially the youth. We shouldn't be carried away with all these things, because just as you said, this is time where you will see all these things coming into play. We shouldn't be carried away. We should use our right. Our vote is our power.
Well, we are moving straight into the papers now, and Tosi will be taking the first paper, but this is a reminder that by 9:30 we shall be opening the phone lines where you can call in and make your comments, so you can take note of the discussions on the show. Tosi.
And the first paper is the Daily Trust newspaper. Power firms lose 1.6 trillion naira in 7 years over unutilized electricity. And coming from Tinubu, will not endorse candidates until constitution is changed. Afenifere, he's referring that to Tinubu. And Buhari, governors, others mourn as ex-Oyo governor Alawa Akala dies at 71. Federal government lifts Twitter ban 7 months after warns users. Why Executive Order 1 and 5 fail to make business easy, and Kano tricycle riders call off strike. With details in page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. 18 killed in fresh Plateau attack. And the big story here on the Daily Trust: terrorists overrunning our states, Zulum Matawale cry out. The rider says 2 local governments under ISWAP occupation, coming from the Borno State governor. And deployed to Kano jets 1,000 armored personnel carriers. And military have no modern weapons, coming from Zamfara governor. And our troop well equipped. This is coming from the military. And talking about Maiduguri, that's Borno State, under the insurgents and also under attack of the headsmen. We have the issue here: Nigerian military should focus on ISWAP fighters, not Boko Haram, coming from the governor of Borno State. Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State has asked the Nigerian military to focus on the Islamic states in West Africa, ISWAP fighters, rather than Boko Haram terrorists. The governor stated that the reason is that ISWAP terrorists are better armed and equipped, more intelligent and more sophisticated than Boko Haram members. Zulum made the submission when he received members of the Senate Committee on Army at the government house in Maiduguri, the Borno capital, on Wednesday. The governor said the growing presence of these foreign-trained terrorists in the southern part of the state and other part has become a source of concern for his government. Zulum, however, commended the military and the federal government for their hard work in ensuring that peace returns finally to the state, adding that stability has been recorded in the agricultural sector. He expressed his support for the continued combination of military warfare and political approach towards disarmament and deradicalization and safe reintegration. Looking at this story, I feel both sectors need attention. They need attention of the military. We shouldn't divert our attention saying Boko Haram don't have sophisticated weapons and they are not educated. We should put our attention on the ISWAP fighters. They are all fighting the same cause, because when you look at as a country, even in Maiduguri, in Borno State, we see that the Boko Haram are the ones terrorizing such places, and even they've extended to other states in the country. So why take our attention from Boko Haram and look out for ways we can fight the ISWAP? Both parties, both sectors should be fought to the last. We don't need any of these people in our country. We need to fight them. They are enemies. How should an enemy be treated? An enemy should be treated as an enemy, and these people definitely are enemies because they are not looking out for ways we can grow. We had issues in Plateau State where people were kidnapped, and we still have issues of people being kidnapped by Boko Haram. So why say they don't have sophisticated weapons? We've seen some amateur videos where you see this Boko Haram using weapons that are even more than that of the army. So why saying we should reduce our attention on these people? All we need to say is, as a military, thank God the military went to visit him in Maiduguri. The military should put their joint efforts to fight the ISWAP and even the Boko Haram. We shouldn't take our attention off any enemy and say we want to face the ISWAP. We should face the both sectors, and we should bring them to the last, because a nation where we have peace, a nation where people can move freely, is what we want. So we can achieve it if the military will put their hands together to fight all those people. They are enemies and they should be treated just as enemies.
And thank God they've been tagged as terrorists. That means it's easier to now do the job, because you know what the law says about terrorists. And if you are talking about not having sophisticated arms, then what are you trying to defend with the Nigerian with the budget that goes to the Nigerian defense yearly? Is always very fat. I don't think you should come with the excuse that you don't have arms. Well, moving on to the next paper, which is a Nigerian News Direct, we have the big story that talks about the Twitter suspension in Nigeria. That's lifting of Twitter suspension excites Nigerians and accept tax security terms. That's of federal government of Nigeria. Nigerians must use social media platform more responsibly, and this is coming from ATCOM president. This story can be found on page 2 of Nigerian News Direct. Then we have the NCC boss Dambata to deliver Fountain University's conversation lecture. Then we have another story that says Ondo, Ogun, Oshun governors mourn Alao Akala. Subsidy, NLC direct affiliates CSOs to mobilize for protests, and this story also can be found on page 2 of the Nigerian News Direct. The last story here says Senate to reduce Nigerians borrowing, and this is coming from Lawan. I think it's too late to cry. You can't cry over spilled milk. You can't cry when you're already deep in debt, and you're saying it's now that you want to start reducing Nigerians borrowing. Already the deed has been done. What are you trying to reduce? Just like you said,
The debt's already accumulated.
So I don't have comments for this, so let's just move to the next paper, please.
We have the This Day newspaper report saying 1.88 million NMSMEs killed by COVID-19 insecurity and others. The writer says subsectors' contribution to the GDP drops by 3.5%. And on the Twitter ban, uplifting the Twitter ban, we have 214 days after President unbans Twitter. Buhari Alao Akala served Nigeria oil with dedication. The writer says Makinde condones state events to mourn predecessor. Makinde cancels state events to mourn predecessors. Obasanjo, Jonathan, Atiku, Tinubu, Gbajabiamila, Sanwo-Olu, Fayemi, others pay tribute. The big story on this day says federal government sends 6-man delegation to Zamfara. Says recent killing extremely unfortunate. Vows terrorist days are unnumbered. And here we have Matawale calls for comprehensive reviews of fighting strategy. Lawan flees incident bloodbath across country. Says Nigerians are tired of stories on courage and want military to address security challenges. The last story on this day newspaper, Okungwa's death leaves me with painful pang, coming from Babangida. And that's all the story making headlines on this day newspaper.
And on Business Day, this is for the investors and people that have interest in investment, because we have an investment edition which says Nigeria's stocks to watch in 2022. And the last story here says top 10 skills employers want in 2022. So if you want to build your skills, you can get the Business Day paper to read more and see what skills they're talking about. That is the top 10 that employers want in 2022, so that you can develop yourself further. The next paper, please.
Daily Sun newspaper, which is the Daily Sun, and we have PDP accuses police of condoning gangsterism intimidation in Ebonyi. Writes NSA IGP6 intervention. And Oshun Guba, PDP screens Adeleke, Ogunbi, and others. And the story can be found on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And the big story on 2023 presidency, pressure mounts on Osibanjo to join race. The writer says CPC, ANPP blocks tighten grip on party. AFCON, Air Peace Chair splashes Super Eagles 10 million naira and promises team 50 million naira if trophy won. Buhari hails players for good start. The National Convention, our priority is to resolve dispute and also litigations, coming from APC, and the full details can be found in page 7 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And on COVID-19, federal government pushes for debt relief. SME's contribution to GDP dipped to 3.5%, says NBS. Lawan expresses concern over excessive borrowings, pushes for big story where we talk about 20 should be the one to go out to vie for this position. It should not, the pressure should not come from anybody. You should know your capability. You should know what you can do. People should not pressure anybody to go and to go for any presidential tickets, because what we are going through is as a country now. Definitely, if you go for this, later on you will come up and say people pressured me to go for this position. We have so many issues as a country. We know how we know what we are passing through as individuals. This is not time for us to pressurize anybody to go for it, to saw that people who wanted this, they are going out on their own. They are going to meet the president to solicit that they are coming out for the presidential race 2023. So this is time for us. We will see them. They will definitely come, because this is another strategy to say people wanted me to come. We had it since 2021, where people were people were talking about him. They want him to go out to vie for this position. Someone who is capable, someone who can fight this cause, is someone. There are people we need to come out for this presidential ticket. Even if they come, this is time we're still talking about our voters card. That's the power we have as individuals to kick out bad governments and bring in the right person, because we know what we are going through as a country. We need someone who really have the interest of the growth of this country. Someone who we have his record, things he has done, even because you know these people definitely they've occupied some key positions. You have their record, you know what they've done, what they've impacted in their state. Yesterday we heard about Orji Uzor Kalu, who says he's coming out toe for toe to face Tinubu. He has the money, he have everything. When we had the issue of 7.2 billion naira embezzlement, he had the case he had, and you're coming out, you're talking about you have the money, you have the power to face anybody toe for toe. This is not, we are looking out for someone who have the zeal to fight the cause we are going through as a country, not someone that come and show a display of money, say you have the power to come out. This is time for us to fight bad government out with our voters card, and not issue for us to pressurize anybody to come out, because we will still have issues coming out. Age will be a barrier, and you will say people wanted me to come out. You have this issue in Kogi State where the government is not doing anything in Kogi State. When you look at the roads are not good in Kogi State, and if you talk, you say they voted me in. People wanted me to come in. Yes, they pressured me.
And that's the same tone that the governor of Kogi State.
And the fault to go back to individuals, to go back to the citizen, because when you look at him, he's enjoying his life to the fullest. So we should not, this is not time for us to pressure anybody, because later on the fault will still go back to us.
So you're talking with so much passion that I feel like I should use my PVC to vote for you.
We need to use our
I feel when you come, when you are on seat, when you're in that leadership position, you will do better than this. And it's very true.
Try
what
me and see, I will do.
So maybe we should start to play your jingle on Ekwa TV. But you know what? Everything you've said now is very true. You can't just pressurize people to come into leadership. No, leadership is a personal thing. You have to know what you are offering to Nigerians, or wherever you want to lead. You have to know what is it, what are your strategies, what ideas are you bringing, what innovations are you bringing. Not that you say, okay, you are being pressurized and you just come empty. You know, the same thing that the governor of Kogi State is saying, and there are a lot of comments that people are asking him, who are the people pressurizing you? Tell us, let us know who are they. You can't just say, okay, they are pressurizing you, then when you get the tickets, then you won't be able to do anything. Just like how we've seen other governors, just like you said, or other leaders, and even Tinubu himself going to the president to talk about his ambition. You know, these people that are going to say, okay, they have the interest, they have the ambition to come and they want the presidential ticket. What are you bringing? What are you offering? And don't forget, you have a case before now. Just like the Tinubu, I was watching the news yesterday where his aide was asked about the bullion van containing huge amounts of money that was found in Tinubu. You remember that case that trended some other time? And they were, even there was no explanation, because they told us that we should wait, that there will be official statement. Till date, nothing like official statement. And yesterday, his aide was on TV, and they were asking him, tell us, let's go back to what happened. What are you trying to tell us now? Can you tell us now about the bullion van? And he was claiming that Rufai was trying to put words in his mouth, or there was nothing like is yes or no. that he was trying to answer. He was just beating about the bush. We don't want that. We want accountability. We want someone that is responsible. All these people that are even going, do you know Nigerians don't even have interest in them? Nigerians are waiting for like a savior that will come, that will be different from everything that they've ever had. We don't want recycling. We don't want recycling of leaders. Lots of Nigerians don't want that. They want someone that is accountable, credible, has integrity, and that's what we've been waiting for. And that's why I always encourage the youth, if you are shouting, fighting, all these things they are doing, who is that person that you want to present? If you present a person, just like I said, if now we present Tosin as someone that wants, when we prove a point, when we campaign, we say, okay, these are the things, and they hold us accountable. At least at the end of the evaluation year, we'll be able to know that, okay, this is it. You are transparent. Okay, a bullion van was found in your house. Are you resigning based on that? Or what? You know, a bullion, do you know what it means to have a bullion van in your house? That means you are, because the claims was that he was even richer than a state. Do you know what that means? That the money found there is more of the economy, more than the economy of a state. Joyce, and now you are coming to say, okay, you have interest in. Nigerians won't trust you.
Joyce, for someone to be called the Jagaban is not an easy name to be called the Jagaban. You should imagine a Jagaban. Imagine Tinubu called Jagaban. Then you should know that you expect a whole lot of things coming for him. We still have issues of someone saying he wants to come out for the presidential race. And when you look at the state, it's a state governor. When you look at the state, the rate of unemployment rate is at an increase in that state. Then you can't handle a state, then how can you handle a country? That means you expect unemployment if you are given that mandate to handle a country. Just as you said, we need someone who will come out to fight this cause, someone who have that interest to come out to fight this cause. Not that we should not pressurize anybody to come for that mandate, because later on the fault will still go back to us.
Well, before we continue with our papers, I would like us to take a break right now, this moment, so that we can open the phone lines to hear the reactions of Nigerians. Please, when you call in, be civil with your language and go straight to the point, stating your name and your location. That is where you are calling from. And if you're on Facebook, you can drop your comments, or on YouTube, you can drop your comments, and we'll read it real time on the show. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. If you are just tuning in, this is from the Dailies, coming to you live from Equa Television Africa, and we've been talking about a lot of stories making the headlines. And if we would like to open the phone lines now so that you can call in to make your contribution. So the phone line will be displayed on your screen, and we would like to move to our newspapers. And to remind you, my name is Joyce, and I have Tosin in the studio with me. So Tosin, let's move on, and I shall be taking the Daily Independent. And on the Daily Independent, it says 2023 presidency, Southwest APC may ostracize Osibanjo. I have nothing against Tinubu. Osibanjo is my choice. And this is coming from Akinola. And Nigerians tired of stories of killings. Lawan laments. 2023 presidency, why Afenifere won't support Tinubu. Others. This is coming from Adebanjo. Says Niger Delta resources don't belong to Nigeria. Troops lack modern tools to battle Boko Haram bandits. And this is coming from governors. To Borno Council under Boko Haram control, says Governor Zulum. Bandits are released without being charged. And this is coming from Governor Matawale. I think this has been a talk here on Equa Television, because we always talk about credibility, we always talk about accountability, and also we even talk about the processes when a bandit is kidnapped, what are the processes, and at the end of the day he's being released, you know, as a free man on the street. So, and now Governor Matawale is reacting to the same. Police confirm 3 dead in Asaba building collapse. That story can be found on page 7 of the Daily Independent. And at last, federal government lifts suspension on Twitter operations, page 6 of Daily Independent. Unions set to ground activities and in aviation sector, page 6 of the Daily Independent. NDLEA nabs kit maker the general orders for drug offense. Buhari, Jonathan, Tinubu, Samolu, Okowa, Makinde, Mons, Alao, Akala, page 29 of the Daily Independent. Tosin, that's all for the Daily Independent.
Thank you. The Nation newspaper, we have a report which says ex-governor Alao Akala found dead in his bathroom, and ex-minister Okongu dies at 87. Sorry. And we have man kills own 3 kids, keeps bodies in freezer, and Ikoyi building construction began before approval. I take it again. Ikoyi building construction began before approval, with details in page 30 of the Nation newspaper. Hush Puppy court reschedules hearing in suit against Abba Kyari's extradition. Equities gain 981 billion naira in 6 days. Investors earn 87 trillion naira since 2020. And the screaming headline on the Nation newspaper says bandit kills 51, burn houses in attacks on communities. The rider many feared kidnap on Kaduna-Abuja highway. Defense minister in Zamfara. President orders sustained military onslaught coming from Lawan, and Nigerians want action, not excuses. Federal government lifts Twitter ban with conditions. And the last story, EFCC rearranges Momfa over alleged 6 billion naira fraud. Government target paperless system, and details can be found in page 6. Government targets paperless system. And those are all the news making headlines on the Nation newspaper.
All right, I would like to move on to the Punch. On the Punch newspaper, we have the big story: terrorists on the rampage in Plateau. Niger kill 52, adopt hunters others. This story can be found on page 2, and it has the riders that says Niger terrorists tied victims' hands to their backs before shooting them. And this is coming from the resident. That's more like a eyewitness. This is so sad. Lalong demands arrest as invaders gun down 18 in fresh Plateau community attack. And these are all sad stories making the big headline today on the Punch newspaper. And moving on until now, 2 Borno local governments under Boko Haram from control. And this is coming from Zulum telling the senators. This can be found on page 7. 3,121 killed in road crashes in 6 months. And this is the NBS report. INEC's 20 million new voter target shaky. 24 million registered, and that can be found on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Workers retirees kicks as FG plans 620 billion naira loan from pension fund, and this is page 22 of the Punch. Shonikon tributes flow as family begins consultations on burial, page 14 of the Punch newspaper. And on more stories, we have Nnamdi Kanu writes begs US to witness anti-terror trial, page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Nigerians poor economics as ex-Oyo Governor Alao Akala, former minister, die, page 29. Zamfara communities panic over bandits 1 week ultimatum for 33 billion naira levy, page 14 of the Punch newspaper. Buhari lifts Twitter ban after 222 days suspension, page 24 of the Punch newspaper. NDLEA raids Lekki drug joints, arrest the general orders, recover tramadol cannabis. That's page 5 of the Punch. Fayemi meets Tinubu, over 2023 presidency Ekiti governorship poll, page 8 of the Punch newspaper. All these papers are talking about policies, they're talking about drug trafficking, they are talking about the ban, the lifting of the ban, Twitter ban, and the killings. That's talking about terrorists on the plateau and the Niger. Imagine the victims being tied, their hands being tied behind them, then shot. And these are eyewitnesses report that's from the resident. Then on the plateau, 18 killed in fresh plateau community attack. Like, these stories are always there, one killing or the other. Is there a day in Nigeria that somebody doesn't die? Like, every day in the news you must hear of one thing or the other. And just like I will always say, there are some stories that don't even make the headlines. There are some stories that don't even come to the news, because there are things that will happen in your community that before the press gets there, you know, they will even be alerted. They feel, the residents will just feel like, okay, it's normal, no need to even stress anybody, let's just bury this person, let's just take it in our hands to do whatsoever it is that is needed, and the case will be closed. It's so sad, but we'll take the next paper.
And the next paper is a Nigerian Tribune. 48 killed in Niger Plateau. Zulum says Boko Haram controls 2 Borno local governments. And oil in Niger Delta belongs to people of the region, Adebanjo tells Obasanjo. After 7 months, federal government lifted Twitter suspension, and we have the agreements here. Twitter commits to establishing a legal entity in Nigeria during the first quarter of 2022, which will register with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Agrees to appoint a designated country representative to interface with Nigerian authorities. And the third agreement agrees to comply with applicable tax obligation, while the fourth says to enroll Nigerian on its partner support and law enforcement portal. The fifth says agrees to act with a respectful acknowledgement of Nigerian laws,
okay, so
national
we have a caller
culture
from
and
Abuja.
history.
If you can just hold on with that so that we can talk with our caller from Abuja. If you can hear us, this is from the Dailies and it's live on Equa Television Africa. Please go ahead. Okay, too soon. I think you should continue.
I'd like to take the fifth agreement, which says agrees to act with a respectful acknowledgement of Nigerian laws, national culture and history, while the sixth says to work with federal government and broader industry to develop code of conduct in line with global best practices. And here we have another story which says Constitution Amendment, CJN likely to lose control over NJCs, NJI and FJSC. The rider says 10 slots recommended for NBA in NJC, and lawyers to participate in judges' discipline. And coming from the tributes for Alawa Akala, his family said he died peacefully. And here, Ikoyi building collapse, provisional approval not given before construction. Police arrest suspected killer of 300 level Unijos student. And 2022 budget, National Assembly to now supervise federal government revenue generating agency. And this is coming from the Senate President. And on convention, our major focus is reconciliation, coming from APC, with the rider dismisses June date. And those are all the stories making headlines on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper.
And on Voice of Liberty, we have Nigerians' economy to grow by 2.5% in 2022, and this is coming from World Bank. Tricycle operators suspend strike in Kano. Suspension of National Convention fake news, says APC. Boko Haram, ISWAP, openly celebrating marriages, collecting taxes without confrontation.
Yes,
and
we have
this is
a
coming
caller
from Zulum. We have Dauda from Kaduna. Dauda, if you can hear us, this is from the Dailies. Please go ahead with your contribution. Mr. Dauda, you are live on Equa Television.
Hello?
All right, I will go ahead with the stories. The big story here says President Buhari lifts suspension of Twitter operation in Nigeria. Kaduna Murik hails El Rufai on 4-day working week. President Buhari orders mourn death of Alao Akala. Nigerian deficit spending jumps 33% to 7 trillion naira. And these are all the stories on Voice of Liberty. Tosin.
And for Vanguard newspaper, Boko Haram still in control of 2 Borno local government, says Zulum. The writer of the story says Guzamala Abadam local government remain under Boko Haram control once ISWAP, regrouping with 300 motorbikes. 18 killed in Fresh Plateau village attack and bandits abducted village head. 2 foreigners, 9 others in Zamfara. Federal government will never allow killings of Zamfara magnitude again, and this is coming from Magashi. As Matawale alleges bandits are released without charge and will continue to deal with terrorists, coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. Flags at half-mast for Shonikan. An APC convention will be held after addressing 4 critical issues, coming from Malami Buni. Oil belongs to Niger Delta. Ayo Adebanjo replies Obasanjo. Buhari mourns as Chu Okongu, ex-minister of finance, dies at 87. And herdsmen killing, don't resort to self-help, coming from Akeredolu. And 2023, Ohaneze, MBF orders back Umahi's call for Igbo presidency. Hush puppy lawyers abandon suit seeking to stop Abakari's extradition. And those are all the stories on the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, I would like to take the first news, and on the first newspaper we have APC presidential primaries. Tinubu orders are no threat, says Osibajo Group. No plan to delay APC convention. Boni defense. Alawa Kala last moment of affable or your ex-governor. He slumped in bathroom at Ogbomosho, says family source. Buhari, Obasanjo, others mourn. And we have a caller from Kaduna. Please, if you can hear us, you are live on the program from the Dailies. Go ahead with your contribution. Hello, caller from Kaduna. We would like to hear from you, so go ahead with your contribution. But if you're having a problem reaching us, please call back and I will move on with the stories. And still on the first news, 7 months after Nigeria lifted ban on Twitter, bandits resurface on Kaduna Highway, kidnap many traders. Gunmen adopt mother of Kanu lawmaker. Borno, Boko Haram still controlling 2 local government areas, says Governor Zulum. Bayelsa, late Ekpebu, first African Harvard graduate to get state burial. And talking about the Dangote meant to buy back 170 million shareholder stake. And these are all the stories on the first newspaper.
And on the Guardian newspaper, federal government lifts Twitter ban after 222 days, 546.5 billion naira economic losses. The rider stakeholders divided, says federal government should not gag platform. ECOWAS court plans to deliver judgment next week and we never left Twitter, Nigerians react. Nigerians tired of killing, says Lawan, and declare for 2023 presidency, Igbo politicians, technocrats urged. Gunmen kill 21 in Plateau community. Details can be found in page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Buhari, Makinde orders pay tribute as Nigerians mourn late Oyo governor, Alao Akala. And on COVID-19, summit urges Nigeria to galvanize other nations to seek debt relief. The rider says IMF wants global collaboration to boost Africa vaccination drive. And the story is on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Resign now, Diri tells appointees eyeing elective offices. And the last story on the Guardian newspaper says why ex-SGF Babachir Lawal was not reported in EFCC in alleged 544 million naira contract scam. And those are all the stories making headlines on the Guardian newspaper.
All right, thank you very much, Tosin, for reading the papers with me, and thank you our viewers for always watching and your comments and your feedback. And for those that try to reach us in the studio today live and you couldn't get us, we just want to tell you we appreciate you, and we'll be back with the same segment tomorrow with fresh episode with fresh papers so that we can analyze and tell you more of what is happening in your country. I just want to encourage you to get your PVC even to prepare for the 2023 general elections. And even as Twitter ban has been lifted off in Nigeria, I just want to remind you that Equa Television is on Twitter as Equa Television, same with our Facebook and on YouTube, so you can follow all our platforms to keep updated with what we do here, to know our affairs and to know everything that we do on Equa Television Africa. It has been from the Dailies here live on Equa Television Africa, and I had Tosin Olabi with me. Tosin, do you have anything to say before we go?
Yes, I have. Opportunities don't happen, you create them.
All right, that's all from all of us in Equa Television Africa, and on behalf of all of us on Equa Television Africa, we're saying remain blessed, and remember, power can never be given to you. You have to take it, and by taking it, you have to be responsible. Stay blessed even as we see you tomorrow.